Good evening and welcome. You're watching the 7 o'clock news on CNC3. I'm Maria Rambali.
I am Jassi Marik with sport.
And I'm Jean-Marc Rampersad with your weather.
Let's tell you what's making the news tonight. Cabinet to consider inquiry into Brent Thomas matter, but the PM says cost will be a major factor. Government and CARICOM insist TNT's regional ties remain solid. Urgent security talks to take place after Laventil triple murder. Residents call for another state of emergency.
Coming up in sport, Defence Force FC faces Philly bombardment at Subaru Park as the Union rains goals on the local league champions.
Improvements in air quality and sea conditions over the weekend. I'll have the details in tonight's weather report.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar says her cabinet will consider establishing a commission of inquiry into the Brent Thomas matter. However, she told CNC3 News that the potential cost of such an exercise will be a key factor in determining whether it proceeds. While the opposition is in support of the move, a former national security minister is defending government's handling of the matter in 2022. Akash Samaru has more.
The Barbados Prime Minister may have called Kamla Persad-Bissessar's assertions about Brent Thomas a scurrilous lie and defamatory in the extreme, but Persad-Bissessar is not changing her tune.
They accepted liability, the AG accepted liability for their actions, and what more can I say? Where's the lie then?
Now, the incident with Mr. Thomas, a Trinidad and Tobago citizen, took place in 2022. So let's remind you what happened. In October 2022, firearms dealer Brent Thomas was arrested at his hotel in Barbados by Barbadian police acting at the behest of Trinidad and Tobago authorities, who forcibly returned him to Trinidad and Tobago without following legal extradition procedures. The High Court subsequently ruled the detention unconstitutional, calling it an abduction, and stayed the criminal proceedings against him, eventually leading to Barbados having to apologize and enter into negotiations for a settlement regarding constitutional damages. Persad-Bissessar surprisingly raised the issue at the CARICOM meeting in St. Kitts and Nevis, calling it the kidnapping of a Trinidad and Tobago national. Mia Motley, meanwhile, contended that it was not a kidnapping because Trinidad and Tobago police presented warrants for Thomas's arrest. Former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith has now called for a commission of inquiry into the matter, and that suggestion was put to the Prime Minister today.
Those are matters I will want to pick up with the cabinet and have discussions. Commissions of inquiry cost a lot of money, and you have heard me already saying, we have to use the money for the people for delivery of goods and services in the best way we can. So it's something we will weigh. I know there's some of the view that might be the only way to find out what really happened, how it happened.
Persad-Bissessar said a cost-benefit analysis would be a key determining factor.
How much money is going to cost? Millions and millions, which I could use to pay for the hospitals, to pay for the schools, to pay teachers, to pay workers. We will have to wait. I don't think I can just run out and say yes. Sounds like a good idea, but all brilliant ideas also have downsides.
Now, the Barbados Prime Minister has suggested that going forward there may be need for each CARICOM state to pass laws for a CARICOM arrest warrant to stop a possible recurrence of the Brent Thomas matter. That was also put to Persad-Bissessar.
So it's something that sounds like a brilliant idea, but isn't interesting that after all these years, it took a statement I made at the CARICOM heads before this explanation was forthcoming. That is very interesting.
Now, CNC3 News asked the opposition for its thoughts on a possible commission of inquiry.
I don't think it is a bad idea because there are a lot of misinformation in the public domain on that Brent Thomas issue.
Marvin Gonzalez would have been part of the PNM administration during the matter in Barbados, but he is standing by their actions.
The then Minister of National Security did what he was supposed to do. You had the arms of National Security, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, liaising with their counterparts in the region.
But the court didn't find that it was handled properly, though.
Well, and I respect the court's judgment on this.
Gonzalez said he hopes if there is a commission of inquiry, it is not for the purposes of a political witch hunt. Akash Samaru, CNC3 News.
Well, with differing views on what took place in Barbados, earlier today we asked, should there be a commission of inquiry into Brent Thomas's removal from the island? Here's what you had to say.
The People Say, brought to you by Excel Health TT, the official supplement of the CPL.
Yes, I think an inquiry should be done because if he is free currently in the country, he was brought back and faced no prosecution, no charges, no anything, then why did we waste resources, the region and the country's resources, to bring him back in the first place?
I believe inquiry should take place, but in my opinion, I don't believe anything fruitful would come out of it.
Yes, I believe there should be an inquiry into the Brent Thomas matter because there are questions that need to be answered. Questions like who authorized, who gave the approval for this?
There seems to be a lot of questions surrounding the situation. We have the Barbados government saying one thing while our Prime Minister made some serious allegations. So yes, I think the Commission of Inquiry should be held so that we could all be on the same page and understanding of what exists and where we need to move forward as the Caribbean and within the CARICOM.
Well, the answer is yes, and why is simply, I am a person that believes in democracy. I am a person who believes in standing for justice, and therefore I have no problem with any commission of inquiry that will reveal the truth in any given serious matter in this country.
No. Simply because my money going and pay for a waste of time commission inquiry, as always.
The People Say, brought to you by Excel Health TT, the official supplement of the CPL.
Regional political analyst Peter Wickham says the Prime Minister's decision to raise the Brent Thomas arrest during her CARICOM address was inappropriate. Wickham believes bringing the case to a regional forum blurred the lines between diplomacy and national security. He says Barbados' leadership had no direct involvement, and disputes like these have occurred before without threatening CARICOM's unity.
My sense is that there was a lot in the Prime Minister's comments that breached those rules of engagement. I mean, she dragged issues which were national security matters like the Brent Thomas matter into this in a way that was entirely inappropriate. And then it was a sense where you are standing as a member of a family, you're standing outside the house and you're throwing rocks in. First meeting that you've attended ever, you're attending largely because Marco Rubio is there. You go to the opening ceremony, you make remarks, and when the family sits down to have a conversation the next day, you disappear back to Port of Spain.
Wickham says he looks forward to what Prasad Bisesa will bring to the table when she assumes chairmanship of CARICOM soon. Meanwhile, Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Nicholas Morris, says TNT's relationship with regional partners remains solid following Kamla Prasad Bisesa's address at the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting. During Parliament today, Opposition leader Penelope Beckles questioned whether diplomatic ties between the country and key regional states, notably Venezuela, Barbados and Cuba, had seen any improvement after the Prime Minister's remarks at the Caribbean Summit. Beckles had previously described the address as embarrassing and suggested it risked undermining TNT's image within CARICOM and beyond. But Morris maintains there's been no fallout since the meeting. And two regional leaders are standing firm, insisting the community remains united and strong despite a sharp rebuke from Prasad Bisesa at the CARICOM Summit. Incumbent CARICOM chairman and St. Kitts and Nevis Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew, as well as Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness, admitted differences of opinion are common. Answering questions about Prasad Bisesa's critique of CARICOM, including the Secretariat's silence on key issues and her absence from the retreat, Dr. Drew stressed those differences do not signal discord or weakness within CARICOM.
What is important is not the differences, because they necessarily have to happen. It's how we address the differences. Are we mature enough to understand that we'll have differences, to know that there will be difficulties, but so committed that we would work through them?
Meanwhile, Prasad Bisesa, who returned home early from the summit, believes aspects of the CARICOM meeting could have been better. Still, she appeared unfazed by criticism of her opening speech, choosing instead to focus on reconnecting with familiar faces.
Well, like everything else, it could be better, but I thought it was a very frank meeting. It was great seeing some of my colleagues again. In fact, seeing all my colleagues, because for the first time in a long time, I believe all the heads were pressing for this 50th meeting. So all is well, I think.
What do you think could have been better?
What could have been better? Many things.
The Prime Minister said she will not be silenced by the opposition. CARICOM says it will step in to help Cuba as the island faces a deepening crisis with millions left without power, water or food. At the close of the CARICOM summit in St. Kitts, Chairman Dr. Terence Drew stressed that Cuba is a priority for regional leaders. He promised humanitarian aid within a month and said the community is ready to act as a mediator between Cuba and the United States.
The community has taken the decision as well to support humanitarian efforts in Cuba. The Caribbean community, cognizant of its very close relationship with both Cuba and the USA, and mindful of the extent to which the region can be negatively affected, is willing and to participate in any way that will redound to the benefit of the Cuban people while maintaining regional stability.
Dr. Drew noted CARICOM's close ties to both countries and emphasized the need to protect regional stability. But when pressed about U.S. regime change in Cuba, he made it clear that CARICOM's focus is strictly humanitarian, avoiding any direct stance on the issue. Well, still to come in the news, Finance Minister finally gives a timeline of when teachers would receive their adjusted salaries. Tobago House of Assembly passes motion to launch referendum on self-governance. And coming up in sport, the women in maroon begin to relive memories of 2016 as they begin the march toward the 2026 T20 World Cup.
Okay, let me see you, Cherry Hill. Yeah, now take it back. Let me see you rock off, shake off. Let me see you rock off. Let me see you kick right. Now step forward, now step back.
Lucozade, bring the energy. Unbeatable taste, new look.
Shake off. Let me see you rock off.
The Prime Minister is not ruling out the possibility of an expanded U.S. military presence in Trinidad and Tobago following her meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump next week. However, the Prime Minister is seeking to reassure citizens that any such arrangement would not grant foreign soldiers authority over citizens. Akash Samaru has more, including fresh details on the U.S.-installed radar facility in Tobago.
There's some concern that at the summit with U.S. President Donald Trump on March 7th, this country will be asked to accommodate a further U.S. military presence, a notion that was put to Kamla Prasad-Bissessar today.
Maybe, maybe not. I can't preempt what will happen at that meeting.
The Prime Minister reiterated that she inherited the Status of Forces Agreement, or SOFA arrangement, which is the legal framework and protections for U.S. personnel operating in the country during mutually agreed upon activities and exercises. It led to CNC3 News asking the question.
So are you saying we are at the mercy of the U.S.?
We are not at the mercy of anyone except the good Lord. We can say no, we can say yes, but we are operating within the law.
But the Prime Minister did say that the SOFA arrangement is working well for this country in some areas. Then the Prime Minister said something about the radar in Tobago that we heard for the first time.
You know, they're paying $3 million a day for that radar. Not us. They are paying that. Therefore, they kept some of their military personnel there to ensure that the radar would be safe, it would be able to continue working, it would not be sabotaged.
Kamla Prasad-Bissessar said that fee is not paid to this country, and later clarified that the $3 million per day is the operating cost the U.S. incurs for salaries for the people manning the equipment, accommodation for them in Tobago, and for the radar's upkeep. That means in the 93 days since the radar was first publicly detected to now, the U.S., using the PM's figures, would have spent around $279 million so far on the Tobago radar. The Prime Minister could not say how many U.S. military personnel are currently in the country, only that some are leaving in March. But what Prasad-Bissessar did know for sure is that these American military people will not have authority over citizens here.
No, you mean to lock up TT? No. Whatever they may, from their intelligence that they may gather, my understanding and what I've been told is that they will advise the TTPS, who will then pursue. There was a drug bust not too long ago. It was their intelligence that allowed our TTPS to go in. So they can't come and arrest you unless if you coffin them down or something.
The PM doubled down, saying she has no regrets for entering into this partnership with the U.S. military, saying that and the states of emergencies kept the murder rate low. Now, Opposition Leader Penelope Beckles weighed in.
Well, if the Prime Minister says maybe or maybe not, that's very interesting.
Beckles challenged the PM's belief that the U.S. partnership led to a safer Trinidad and Tobago.
If you look at the figure today, the figures suggest that for this month you had more than last month around the same time. So I don't see that has tamed. And I mean, we are not aware as to exactly what is the role the United States is playing at this time as it relates to crime intervention.
The opposition leader said the government has still not been upfront since citizens first spotted the radar. Akash Samaru, CNC3 News.
Tobago's autonomy agenda is gaining momentum. At today's THA plenary sitting, a motion to begin a consultative referendum process aimed at advancing self-governance was passed. Secretary of Strategic Planning Trevor James called on Tobagonians to support the initiative, stressing that the move is not about separating from Trinidad.
Mr. Presiding Officer, we are not seeking to divide the Republic. We are seeking to complete it by allowing the people of Tobago to speak clearly, lawfully, and peacefully about their future.
James says autonomy would allow Tobago to fully express its identity, even suggesting a future where Tobago athletes could compete separately on the international stage. Meanwhile, Deputy Chief Secretary Dr. Faith Brebner says the TPP's 15-0 election sweep in January shows it has the support of the public and the party will be aggressive in its push for autonomy.
When this administration won the 15 seats, we did so that not for us to simply manage the status quo. Tobago did not give us a clean sweep so that we could negotiate timidly. Colleagues, man up and woman up.
Brebner says oil and gas discoveries are moving closer to Tobago, yet the island is seeing no comparative fiscal benefit. She says new laws must reflect Tobago's growing role in the energy sector. And Tobago's autonomy push is getting regional support. Nevis Premier Mark Brantley says smaller islands in Twin Island states are too often treated as afterthoughts. He points to Tobago's radar installation last year, done without consultation, and his own government's acceptance of U.S. deportees, also without input. Brantley tells CNC3 News the time has long passed for smaller islands to get respect from their larger partners. Chief Secretary Falia Gussin was invited by the Prime Minister and acknowledged in her opening address, but Brantley took no part in the CARICOM meeting beyond the ceremony. He frames the radar issue as cultural, saying it was a no-brainer that Tobago's leaders should have been consulted. Grenada's Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell confirms a proposed U.S. radar for Maurice Bishop International Airport is no longer under consideration. He says the plan was reviewed but never finalized, months after a similar system was installed in Tobago. Well, for the second time in recent weeks, displaced Cabo Star workers gathered outside the Parliament, protesting what they describe as their exclusion from employment on the new cargo vessel now servicing the Sea Bridge. Approximately 30 workers who previously served on the MV Cabo Star say they were left without jobs after the vessel exited service and was replaced by the MV Blue Wave Harmony. The demonstration was led by Executive Council member of the Seamen and Waterfront Workers Trade Union, Anthony Alexis, who says affected workers are facing severe financial strain.
They have family to feed, they have all sorts of things, all sorts of bills. They have a mortgage and they cannot feed, some of them, they cannot feed their family. A number of workers has reached out to me, reached out to the Seamen Union. Up to today, workers come to the Seamen Union and talk about their plight.
The SWWTU says further action may follow if talks are not convened soon. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Devendranath Tanku says teachers' new salaries and back pay will be paid by the end of the first quarter, which is March 31st. Tutor has been consistently trying to find out from the minister when they will be getting the financial benefits following the signing of a 5% increase in April of 2025. A letter was delivered to Tanku's office on Monday requesting a set timeline. Today, CNC3 News sought to ask the minister for an update.
Minister, could you tell us when teachers will be getting their back pay, sir?
When they're due.
Sorry?
When it's due.
When it's due, when will they getting the new salaries?
When it's due. I made a comment on this already.
But when will it be due? I know you would have written to Tutor. Have you sent it to them?
Let's clarify that. I said it before, I'm repeating it again. Within the first quarter of calendar 2026, which is now.
But back pay or the new salaries?
Back pay and new salaries.
The back pay for teachers is said to be in the region of $730 million. This agreement covered the 2020 to 2023 period. Retirees of Trinmar Petrotrin are appealing to the Prime Minister, saying they are still being denied outstanding medical benefits. They gathered at the Clifton Hill Sports Club in Point Fortin today. They say age and financial hardship has left them powerless to protest or seek legal action. All they have left is prayer and the hope that someone listens. In the years following Petrotrin's closure in 2018, retirees say they have been pleading and writing to various officials, but have received no favorable response. They say they wrote to the Prime Minister and Minister in the Ministry of Energy, Ernesto Queza, last year, but got no reply. They say time is against them, as hundreds of their comrades have already died.
In 2019, when I wrote the Prime Minister, we had over 1,500 retirees. By that time to now, we have 620 retirees. The rest died. So that is our situation today. And we are crying out. And we are not asking for any handout. We are asking for what is ours.
The retirees say while the OWTU filed legal action on their behalf, they found no record in the industrial court. CNC3 News reached out to the union, who says the case is still pending and they are awaiting a trial date. When we reached out to Minister Queza, he said he was in Parliament and was unable to respond. In tonight's Business Watch, after 24 years of service to the Energy Chamber, Dr. Thackeray Driver has resigned from his role as President and Chief Executive Officer. Also, Prestige Holdings announces an increase in profits in 2025. Peter Christopher has more.
Dr. Thackeray Dax Driver has stepped down as Energy Chamber CEO and President. In a release, the Chamber confirms his resignation will take effect from March 31st, 2026. Chairperson of the Energy Chamber, Mali Baliraj, thanked Dr. Driver for his dedicated service to the Energy Chamber. She says he has provided steady leadership during a period of significant change in the energy sector, and the organization is stronger today because of that contribution. His work impacted the entire energy industry across the supply and value chain, and his commitment to safe operations is a hallmark of his legacy. We wish him well in his next chapter. In the release, Dr. Driver says it has been a privilege to lead the Energy Chamber and to serve its membership over the years. I am proud of what the organization has achieved and confident that it is well positioned to continue supporting the development of the energy sector and the wider region. I thank the board, staff and members for their support. The Chamber says during this transition, the board will review the Energy Chamber's strategic plan and core activities to ensure that it remain fit for purpose and aligned with the evolving needs of its membership and stakeholders. The release adds the board will embark on a recruitment process to identify and appoint the next president and chief executive officer, and will appoint an interim leader during the transition period. In January, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar scathingly criticized the Energy Chamber and its store policy in particular, as she confirmed she will not attend the energy conference in Trinidad and Tobago. At the event, Baliraj said the Chamber would review its strategy following the Prime Minister's comments. Prestige Holdings has announced increased revenues and profits for fiscal year 2025. The company reported a profit after tax of $71.8 million for the year, an improvement over the $66.5 million profit reported in 2024. Chairman Christian Mute notes group revenue increased by 5% to $1.42 billion from $1.35 billion in 2024. He adds the group continued to invest in asset upgrades, including the remodeling of 8 locations. He says remodeling works will continue in 2026. However, he notes at the end of the year, the company operated 136 restaurants, having closed 1 KFC at Ballpark Plaza. And now for a look at today's energy and foreign exchange prices. Peter Christopher, CNC3 Business Watch.
Still to come in the news, second oil spill forces San Fernando school closure as mayor warns residents against burning garbage near heritage fence line.
Today we had mixed conditions with occasional showers, 1 or 2 becoming moderate to heavy at times. More brisk showers are expected this weekend. I'll have the details coming up just after the break.
Introducing the new Sun Mix Nut Bar. Available in 3 delicious flavors: granola raisin nut, almond cranberry crunch, and coconut almond crisp. All packed on a rich bed of dark chocolate.
Taste the good life, snack right. Taste the good life anytime. Good life. Sun Mix.
Sunshine Snacks Sun Mix Nut Bar. Taste the good life.
Mom, Dad, this is Trevor.
Hi.
He's no Kieran.
Back up.
Swing? That's why he crossed the road. It was funny when Kieran said it.
Oh, who could that be?
We're like the parents who don't miss your ex.
I can't believe Kieran is in the neighborhood.
CG United. Good like that.
Folks, take a look at all these medical conditions. What does it have in common? This, ITIS. But what does ITIS really mean?
The suffix itis denotes inflammation of a specified organ or tissue.
ITIS really means inflammation. How do we combat chronic inflammation? Through lifestyle changes. Then, and only then, make sure you're getting enough omega-3 fatty acids.
Always consult a qualified medical professional before starting any supplements.
An early morning triple murder in Laventille has the Prime Minister seriously concerned. She says the matter will be discussed by the National Security Council soon. Here's more from Annalisa Paul.
Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar says she has very serious concerns following Friday's triple murder at McShine Lands in Laventille. The Prime Minister spoke with reporters outside the Parliament, even as one Laventille woman called for another state of emergency to be imposed in light of the recent upsurge in killings. Persad-Bissessar said she intends to address the matter when the National Security Council meets very soon.
I intend to convene another meeting of the National Security Council. We'll discuss that matter and see what other strategies we can use.
Longtime friends Jesse Nelson, Keon Alexander and Dwayne Alexander were killed around 1 a.m. after 3 gunmen opened fire on them as they were liming outside a house at McShine Lands. The female companion of one of the murdered men lamented that the country's crime situation was out of control and that something needed to be done urgently.
Yes, I think that a lot of people would want to welcome another SOE in the country.
Meanwhile, responding to a question by Port of Spain South MP Keith Scotland in the Parliament today as to what security measures had been put in place following the 3 murders and the general upsurge in killings, Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander said the executive of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service had met in an early morning session to discuss the situation. While he refused to disclose what those plans were, he said it would include an array of initiatives.
Assistance from teams outside, both air and other types of operations will be conducted. Also, the continuous investigations of gangs will play an integral part of ongoing investigations.
Police Commissioner Lister Guevara has not responded to questions relating to the killings and the recent upsurge in homicides. Annalisa Paul, CNC3 News.
Meanwhile, Minister of Homeland Security Roger Alexander is urging Laventille residents to unite for the good of their communities to produce safer streets. In the aftermath of the triple murder, the minister said the incident is deeply concerning, but maintains that residents have a responsibility to create safer environments.
Get together as a community, get together as a society, get together as a people, and let us start operating in such a way to make the criminal element uncomfortable with their behavior.
Alexander further stressed that strong cooperation between the public and the police is the only way to produce safer communities. Now to this update. 4 police officers are now under investigation by the Professional Standards Bureau after 2 kilograms of marijuana from the Chaguanas police station went missing. This latest probe comes just months after a constable at the Barataria police station was charged with the theft of $1 million worth of marijuana, where 20 kilograms were replaced with clay bricks and styrofoam. In Parliament, Opposition Chief Whip Marvin Gonzalez pressed the Homeland Security Minister on what new measures are being introduced after the Chaguanas incident. Minister Alexander responded that daily checks of the evidence room, among other procedures, are now in place to prevent drugs and other exhibits from being stolen. Well, it's now time for the weather forecast with John Mark. Is it a good weekend to be outside?
Generally, good news. The Saharan dust is expected to decrease over the weekend, and the hazardous seas alert is expected to expire tomorrow as well. So let's take a look on the satellite to see what's lined up. We had a couple of those patches moving through during the course of the day, which gave us some partly cloudy conditions and occasional showers, some of them even becoming moderate to heavy for a short period. And there are a lot more patches lined up off to our east, which will give us similar conditions over the weekend. However, the yellow level hazardous seas alert is still in effect for north-facing coastlines of Trinidad and Tobago until tomorrow at 9 a.m. Large battering waves have been observed, particularly in Tobago and at high tide times, but otherwise conditions are moderate, just below rough, with waves in open waters up to 2.5 meters and near 1 meter in sheltered areas, occasionally choppy. Winds are expected out of the east at 15 to 20 knots, gusting to 30 at times. And now the breezy conditions will continue into next week, meaning that the seas will be hovering just around a borderline rough. So please exercise caution in all sea-related activities. Now onto the Saharan dust. After it plagued us for the entire week, it's expected to decrease this weekend, giving us some good air quality from Sunday. However, another plume is expected a bit smaller on Tuesday. However, that's expected to move away by Wednesday, so relatively short-lived. Now the forecast for tonight, mostly fair, but there will be a few brief showers overnight. Temperatures expected to get down to 23 in Trinidad and 24 in Tobago. Tomorrow we'll have mostly sunny and breezy conditions with just the odd brisk shower during the course of the day. Just some lingering haziness from the dust, but it should be present in a lower concentration. Also remember, gusty winds are possible, especially near those showers. Today, Piaco even recorded a gust of about 45 kilometers per hour, so just another hazard to look out for over the weekend. Looking ahead, we'll have the lingering haziness tomorrow, but a medium chance of brisk showers for the entire period. The breezy conditions will also be present next week, peaking between Monday and Tuesday. High temperatures are generally consistent at 31 degrees and lows at 23 degrees Celsius. Now, something to brighten your Friday evening. Here's a time-lapse of the Aurora Borealis over Canada earlier this week. You can even see a few streaks of purple along the edges of the bright green. Now, this was taken with a fisheye lens, so the view is just a bit different to the scenes which I normally show. Well, Ria, I'm still waiting on someone to sponsor me a trip to the Arctic so that I can see these nice, wonderful colors.
Sponsorship by 2, please, because I'd love to see it. But you know that now you can see it all across North America.
Yes.
Sometimes you could even see it from Washington State.
It's getting further and further south.
So maybe, who knows? We don't have to go anywhere. We could see it right here in the Caribbean.
Maybe.
Let's hope.
Very soon.
My tap kind of looks like the...
I
like it.
Tonight. Yes, very nice.
All right, thank you so much, Jean-Marc. Let's tell you what's still to come in the news. Chaguanas mayor to transform Old Health Center site to Central Citygate. Vendors given 1 month to clear out.
Folks, take a look at all these medical conditions. What does it have in common? This, ITIS. But what does itis really mean?
The suffix itis denotes inflammation of a specified organ or tissue.
itis really means inflammation. How do we combat chronic inflammation? Through lifestyle changes. Then, and only then, make sure you're getting enough omega-3 fatty acids.
Always consult a qualified medical professional before starting any supplements.
Recession have you down? Don't lose hope. Head on down to Tire Clinic for the recession deals. That should big savings with our road hazard warranty on Dunlop, Sumitomo, and Falcon tires. Available at Tire Clinic, Cuba, Chaguanas, and Pleasance Park. Tire Clinic, a tire for every need. Call 636-8973 or 636-2958.
At Cruise Inn Hotel and Yachting Center, we're all about time. In fact, once you check in, there's no time to lose. Reconnect with a little family time. Make a splash with some pool time. Spend some treasured quality time, or just immerse yourself in some quiet time. Indulge your senses at dinner time. We even have the perfect venue when it's your celebration time. So it's high time you visit Cruise Inn. Choose our day pass or call 607-4000 to make your dinner or hotel reservations or to find out more about our event spaces. Take a time out at Cruise Inn Hotel and Yachting Center.
A 63-year-old man of Montrose, Chaguanas is this country's latest road fatality. We understand Bisham Philip died after crashing his Mazda RX-8 along the northbound lane of the Uriah Butler Highway around 10:15 last night. Police say the car struck a concrete barrier near the Diwali Nagar walkover and burst into flames. Philip, who was alone in the vehicle, suffered severe burns and was pronounced dead at the scene. San Fernando Mayor Robert Parris is seeking to discourage Pleasantville residents from burning garbage near the fence line of Heritage Petroleum following an oil spill that forced the closure of a nearby school. Workers remained at San Fernando East Secondary today, clearing the leak from a 4-inch trunk pipeline on the school's compound. Mayor Parris tells CNC3 News it's the second leak to have occurred in the community. He warns that the lines are old and run not only through the school but also through the village plaza. When CNC3 News visited the community today, residents told us they are worried about the safety of students.
It have an oil line, it running straight to the school, and I concerned about these young children. And children every day go to the school and we don't know about these things, so it is very dangerous. And it also for the community also too, because it have houses as you see close by, and you know children walking all over. It have a plaza there, so it is very dangerous, and I'm very concerned about it. So I don't know what next world will do for us, because children will be missing out schools. It will be have lack of education, so we are very concerned about it. So we want to know what's going on.
Heritage Petroleum confirmed it responded to the leak and says the safety of students, staff, and the community remains its highest priority. Well, Jassie's here now, and Jassie, winning feels good, but it feels even better to have your achievements recognized. Isn't that so?
Yes, that is absolutely right, Rhea, but don't take my word for it. Hear it from TNT's cycling superstars who are back from the Elite Pan American Championship. And after the break, we'll also get you up to speed on where to go and what to do this weekend with our sport wrap and a whole lot more. Stick around.
SEA exams can feel overwhelming. So much pressure, so much to remember. But one child stays calm and focused with the nutritional support of Astamin. Packed with essential amino acids and vitamins, Astamin helps improve memory, focus, and concentration. While others struggle, your child can rise with confidence.
Thank you, Astamin.
Choose Astamin. Power up for SEA victory. Available at pharmacies nationwide.
Dress like you mean business. At The Working Woman, we bring you stylish, professional looks made for the modern woman. From casual to formal workwear, we've got your professional wardrobe covered.
Struggling with blood sugar swings, high blood pressure, or stiff joints? Take control with Aja Nutrition's powerful wellness trio. Berberine Plus supports healthy blood sugar. Blood pressure support helps keep your pressure in check. And Joint Aid keeps your joints moving so you can stay active every day. Don't wait. Choose Aja Nutrition for trusted, effective solutions. Available at Pennywise and leading pharmacies nationwide. Feel better, move better, live better with Aja Nutrition.
Welcome back. Football starts us off. The Defence Force Football Club didn't live up to its name last evening as their defence frayed against the Philadelphia Union. The Tetron boys went into the second leg of their CONCACAF Champions Cup clash, trailing 5-0 and were battered further. Ian Wason reports.
After losing 5-0 at home on Ash Wednesday, the TTPFL champions were playing away to Philadelphia Union on the Subaru Park on Thursday night. But the Defence Force was soon found to be defenceless on a cold night in Pennsylvania. Proper marking was lacking from the short corner in the 7th minute, and Gaynor Martinez did the rest. 2 minutes later, Philly was sent to the penalty spot, and Jovan Lukic squeezed in number 2 for a 7-0 aggregate. By the 12th minute, the Army trailed 3-0 in the match and 8-0 on aggregate as Stas Kozanowski netted another. It could have been worse by half-time had Isaiah Williams not pulled off some good saves. But in the second half, the Army amateurish defending gifted Kozanowski his brace. And for the second time in 8 days, they conceded 5 when Ben Bender joined the Union's walk in the park. There was still time for 16-year-old Cavan Sullivan to both grab his first Union senior team gold and become the youngest American Champions Cup scorer. Then in the 88th minute, he wrapped up his team's 7-0 demolition and 12-0 aggregate win to knock TNT's Defence Force out of the cup. Ian Wason, CNC3 Sport.
A really terrible result there. Some cricket news now. The West Indies and Sri Lanka's women's cricket teams will renew their battle in the morning in the first of 3 T20 internationals in Grenada. Sri Lanka clinched the ODI series 2-1 despite a win for the host team in the final ODI on Wednesday. But that win gives Hayley Matthews and her team some momentum as they, at the right time rather, as they crank up preparations ahead of the T20 World Cup this June and July.
Yeah, just getting in a frame of mind, obviously now to play some T20 cricket. Obviously gonna look to go out there and be a bit more aggressive on the field. But yeah, certainly a format that we figure we probably a lot more suited for as well, so looking forward to the competition. The biggest strength we have probably is the power within the team. Obviously players like Chanel Henry, DeAndre Doughton, who are big powerhouses and can obviously launch a ball quite far, so seeing them at their best is going to be super important leading up to the World Cup.
Now, like the West Indies men, the women were champions in 2016. However, Matthew says that outcome is far from their thoughts.
I mean, that was 10 years ago now, so I don't think we're dwelling on that at all. We certainly have to prove ourselves once again, but you know, after reaching the semifinals in the last edition, we do definitely feel like we're a better side this year now, 2 years later, and that'll certainly put us in for a shot. So just trying to be our best by the time World Cup comes around.
Now, first ball at the Grenada National Stadium, St. George's on Saturday is at 1 p.m. Now, while the West Indies women celebrated victory in the third ODI on Wednesday, there was something else to smile about as stalwart Stephanie Taylor climbed up the women's ODI's all-time run scorers list.
Yeah, with that single, a single of significance for Stephanie Taylor, who now overtakes Charlotte Edwards' second highest run scorer in women's ODI, 5,993 runs now.
Eventually dismissed on 38, Taylor also became only the second woman to cross 6,000 ODI runs behind India's Mithali Raj. Taylor is one of only 3 players in the top 10 still currently active. Hayley Matthews praised her former captain's longevity.
Yeah, she's been a stalwart for West Indies cricket. Certainly someone that I've looked up to before I even started playing for West Indies, and still know is such a big legend of the game. So she just keeps doing her thing, and yeah, she's quite timeless with how she continues to play and continues to do well. So hopefully we see her for many more years doing well.
Yeah, 6,004 ODI runs. Congratulations to her. Trinidad and Tobago's victorious cyclists at the Pan American Track Championships were recognized at a reception ceremony earlier today. At the VIP room of the Hazley Crawford Stadium, the athletes brimmed with pride at prevailing through some difficulties.
Team Trinidad and Tobago, thank you for reminding us what's possible when talent meets discipline and determination.
Sport Minister Philip Watts was among top ministry and sport company officials, as well as Cycling Federation administrators, family and supporters, toasting to the Pan American Track Championship accomplishments of TNT's cycling stars on Friday. TNT's 6 medals in Chile were accounted for by Nicholas Paul and siblings Tennille and Akil Campbell.
I think it's a good start for me for this season. I think it's a great start. So I'm happy with my position right now. So going into CAC, Commonwealth, and then Nations Cup I have as well coming up. So I think those are some big events that I'm going to target and see how the rest of the year goes.
Paul cupped team sprint bronze and individual keirin and match sprint gold. The latter was his 5th consecutive Pan American match sprint title and 6th overall.
I mean, I never take it into consideration to be like 5 times, 4 times, 3 times. I take it each competition as it comes, and I think this one was a special one for me as well. And now that you say it's the 5th consecutive, I think it's even more special now, but I just take it one step at a time and one race at a time.
Tennille expressed minor disappointment that her objective of collecting at least 3 medals was not met.
I went in there with high hopes and wanting to bring home 3 golds and a medal in the Madison. The Madison, is a long-term project with Alex DeCosta and I for LA 2028. In the end, I only managed to get a goal in the scratch race. I mean, something is better than nothing, but, from the tournament, I learned a lot of things that I need to improve on.
And while thankful to her teammates and support staff, issued a word of recommendation to the Federation on ways of improving team performance.
We need to be a lot more professional as a cycling organization. I mean, it's a big team out there. We only had basically 2 hands on deck. So we need more staff out there with us. We need to know and be notified well in advance. For us athletes, it does, although we try to act calm, it does cause chaos. That is one of the most important things, I would say.
Akil Campbell collected 1 bronze each in the men's scratch and elimination races. Casting an eye further away, track and field and CONCACAF Under-20 football feature in tonight's sport around the region.
Former World Athletics Indoor Championships men's 600-meter bronze medalist Jamaican Hakeem Blake has been given a wild card entry to next month's World Indoor Championships in Poland. Blake copped gold in the 60-meter distance at both the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix on January 24th and the Melrose Games on February 1st. That secured him 20 points and a wild card entry for the World Championships in Poland from March 20th to 22nd. Groups D and F continued on Thursday night in the CONCACAF Under-20 Championship. At the Regnal Jean Francisca Stadium in Curaçao, the home team dropped St. Vincent and the Grenadines 6-0. The monthly Bernardina scored a hat-trick and captain Soriano Connesion netted a brace for Curaçao to follow up their 3-2 opening win over Guyana. Haiti opened their campaign with a 7-0 win over Anguilla, led by a double each from Franco Celestin and Nicolai Pierre. In Group F in Managua, Nicaragua, Canada delivered the largest win of the tournament so far, whipping U.S. Virgin Islands 14-0. Marcel Bibishkov scored 4 goals, while Owen Graham Roche and Zane Bruno both netted hat-tricks. Nicaragua, who lost their opening match, bounced back to beat Martinique 5-0. Jubon Uriarte and Mario Montenegro each scored twice. 4 of the 5 teams in the group now have 1 win each. That was sport in the region. I am Ian Wason.
Let's bring it back home now with your weekend sport wrap. The Hazley Crawford Stadium from 9 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday welcomes the next wave of Trinidad and Tobago's junior athletes aspiring to don the red, white and black at this year's Carifta Games in Grenada. Carifta trials are on both days, so go out and lend your support. The Trinidad and Tobago Premier Football League offers a chance for clubs to address their position in the standings. This weekend's round includes an early Saturday afternoon kickoff for Point Fortin Civic and AC Port of Spain at the Manu Ramjan Stadium, Marabou. Arabella. That's followed by Club Sando versus Central FC at the same venue from 4. It's a healthy and holistic exchange of ideas where athletes share their experiences and advocate at the TTOC's Athletes Forum one-day seminar, and that's at the National Racket Center, Tacarigua, from 9 a.m. on Saturday. Next door at the Eastern Regional Indoor Arena, the court's All Sectors Netball League continues from as early as 11 a.m. all the way through to 7:30 p.m. And the National Hockey Center sees the start of the National Outdoor Season on Sunday from 9. It's a lot to keep you entertained all weekend long, so be sure to also look out for the CNC3 cameras wherever you might turn up. Well, sharing is caring. A lesson learned in tonight's CNC3 Sport High. In sport, there are only a few things better than a last gasp buzzer beater, but victory is made that much sweeter when the entire team gets involved. The Suns forced the Lakers' defense to collapse, then rolled it out to Big Royce O'Neal for the triple. The Suns, moving the rock around the block like a dream, team up for tonight's CNC3 Sport High.
So what are your plans this weekend, Jesse?
A lot of sport happening. Maybe I'll pop in at a venue or two, but beyond that, rest and relaxation.
A visit from Jesse. Look out for that. Thank you so much. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Folks, take a look at all these medical conditions. What does it have in common? This, ITIS. But what does ITIS really mean?
The suffix itis denotes inflammation of a specified organ or tissue.
ITIS really means inflammation. How do we combat chronic inflammation? Through lifestyle changes. Then, and only then, make sure you're getting enough omega-3 fatty acids.
Always consult a qualified medical professional before starting any supplements.
Vendors operating at the Chaguanas Vendors Mall are angry over a decision by Mayor Faik Mohammed to clear the site. The vendors were allowed to use the location nearly 15 years ago by then Chaguanas West MP Jack Warner. The initiative began with approximately 300 vendors. Today, around 30 remain operating from makeshift galvanized huts. Today, the mayor announced via social media that the area would be cleared to make way for a traffic hub aimed at easing congestion in the busy central borough. He said vendors have until March 31st to remove their structures, after which demolition will commence.
The area formerly occupied by the old Chaguanas Health Center has been identified for the development of a proper, structured transport hub. This is not a random decision. It is part of a broader plan to improve traffic flow, public safety, commuter comfort, and economic activity within our borough. Chaguanas is growing, and with growth comes responsibility.
Mohammed is reassuring affected vendors that alternative arrangements have been put in place. Those operating at the site have been offered booths at the Chaguanas market rent-free for 6 months. Vendors, however, argue that the upper level of the Chaguanas market attracts little customer traffic.
It's the worst mayor we ever have in Chaguanas. This mayor, very wicked, very, very wicked. He don't care about poor people, he care about himself. I don't know if he have a deed for you, I want to know.
Well, Mayor Mohammed rejected claims that the corporation was indifferent to the plight of the poor, arguing that caring for citizens does not mean permitting disorder or disregarding regulations. Well, colleagues of former Chief Justice Ivor Archie say his 18 years at the helm will be certainly remembered, but not for controversy. Archie returned to the Hall of Justice today for a special sitting in his honor after stepping down suddenly last October. Current Chief Justice Ronnie Budu Singh referred to Archie's tenure as transformational and credited him for making his acting appointment permanent. And Justice of Appeal Charmaine Pemberton acknowledged claims of controversy, but describes Archie's career as distinguished, marked by faith, love for people, and sacrifice for country, court, and family.
Despite this apparently foreboding description, I remind us of the other side of what I call a distinguished career of a man who knew and continues to know his God, displays a deep and abiding love for his fellow human beings, and who many a time put country, court, and family above his own comforts.
In his final court address, an emotional Archie thanked staff and colleagues and reflected on his shift from engineering to law, driven by what he called a visceral hatred of injustice.
I became a lawyer and later a judge because I have always had a visceral hatred for injustice, because I believe that everyone has value and deserves the opportunity to realize their full potential.
Archie says the administrative and technological advances under his tenure would not have been possible without the support of his colleagues and staff. From here, we take another break. We'll be right back. In the ever-changing media landscape, we at Guardian Media strive always to put you, our viewers and readers, first.
We strive to uphold the time-honored tenets of responsible journalism.
For us, accuracy is key.
And in our reporting, we strive not only to be first, but fair,
impartial,
and to uphold journalistic integrity.
Above all, we are accountable to you, and we must respect the views of our audience. That is our solemn contract with you.
Keen attention to detail,
rigorous verification of facts,
use of credible sources, and sound editorial judgment.
Keep track of our editorial policies and guidelines, including our corrections policy, by logging on to www.guardian.co.tt for more. Regionally, 15 young leaders from the Eastern Caribbean are stepping into the spotlight to help shape the region's future. The United Nations has officially installed the 2026 Youth Advisory Group. The cohort represents 9 territories, including Barbados, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The members, aged 18 to 30, will contribute to policy dialogue and advocacy in areas ranging from climate change and mental health to food security. The UN resident coordinator says the team has benefited immensely from youth insights, noting that greater involvement is needed to drive transformative change. The advisors will serve a 1-year term, working to advance the 2030 agenda for sustainable development. Well, Pokemon is celebrating its 30th anniversary. The global phenomenon began with 2 Game Boy titles released in Japan. Pocket Monsters Red and Green was eventually shortened to Pokemon in Japanese, spawning what's now considered the world's highest-earning media franchise. The coveted characters appeared on a popular anime series, trading cards, and years later on a mobile app called Pokemon Go, creating a whole new generation of Pokemon fans. More than 75 billion Pokemon cards have been produced over the years and are traded in a highly lucrative market. Earlier this month, a single card was sold for over $16 million US. Guys, bring out your Pokemon cards.
Yeah, I don't have any.
I still have a stack of Pokemon cards.
Really?
I could be sitting on a gold mine right now.
Bring it to work and let's wager that. Yeah. Who knows? It might be valued at quite a bit.
And I've been through all of them: the trading cards, the show, the Go app, the Game Boy games, everything.
I remember when the Go app came out, and some of our colleagues and even people in Port of Spain, you see them going all over just to catch Pokemon. Did you have a favorite one?
I have a Pokemon nickname, but I won't reveal that on national television.
Oh no! What about you, Jean-Marc?
I don't have a nickname, but I've been through a Pokemon childhood, so definitely love the animated show.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my favorite Pokemon is Jigglypuff. All right. Well, before we leave you, please be advised that our free-to-air station, Channel 14, is currently off air due to a technical issue. We are working to resolve the issue and do apologize for any inconvenience caused. In the meantime, you can stay connected with us on our social media platforms. There you'll find tonight's stories, the latest updates, and exclusive content. And don't forget to pick up a copy of the Guardian newspaper. We've come to the end of the 7 p.m. news on CNC3. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ria Ramboli.
I am Jassy Marie.
And I'm Jean-Marc Rambassad. Have a good night.